Tonight on Kitchen Nightmare, Hans and Fritz own a wonder weapon factory in Poland. However, they have yet to turn around the tide of war. And with no engineers or scientists working at the wonder weapon factory, the chance of making something useful are very slim. Will Gordon Ramsay manage to turn this around? And will Hans and Fritz manage to make some dumb fucking weapon on time? That and more tonight on the History Channel. If you are anything like me, you like history just a bit more than the average person. And when you're talking with somebody about military history of the 20th century, you might forget that not everyone is as enthusiastic about tanks, planes, boats and all the other things that we like to talk about. With conversations often ending in this. So yeah, the Hetzer was only built because the factory that was making the Stuks was destroyed. Oh, and fun fact, the only reason why they didn't continue building more Stuks was because the new factory didn't have a crane that could lift the heavy chassis of the Stuk. So instead they decided to make... I mean, it's very interesting. Yeah, I mean, that does sound very interesting. Have you ever heard of Die Glock? Die Glock. Where to even begin with this piece of shit? I think I'll do the least YouTuber thing possible. And start with what most other videos end with. This thing probably didn't exist. Nah, forget it. This thing for sure didn't exist. Okay, so when I research subjects for these videos, I usually start with Wikipedia. But I never rely or trust Wikipedia 100%. I use it as a starting point and then I try to find some books or some articles, checking the information. However, I'm gonna believe Wikipedia 100% on this one, because I really like the title that Wikipedia is using. Die Glock. Conspiracy theory. So yeah, as you might have noticed already, I hate Die Glock. It wasn't always like that. I went from being fascinated by it, to being mildly interested in it, to not being interested at all, to being slightly annoyed when I heard about it, and now just hating it. I remember the first time that I heard about the Glock. I must have been like 12 or 13. It was at a summer camp, and some camp leader told us about German secret weapons like the V2 rocket and Die Glock. And according to him, this thing shot lasers. Which sounds fucking awesome. I mean, when you're 12, that just sounds like the coolest thing ever. I did try to look it up online, but it doesn't seem like anyone is saying that it shot any lasers. So I don't know where he got that information from. But who knows, maybe he had some inside information. Also, I'm gonna call it the Bell from now on. So if the Bell didn't shoot lasers, what could this wonder weapon do? And how did it work? Well, get ready and put on your tinfoil hat, because this shit doesn't make any sense. The Bell was a bell-shaped device. It was about 4 meters high, or 12 feet high, and 3 meters wide, 9 feet wide. And depending on which schizophrenic you ask, it could be anything. It could be an anti-gravitational device, a time machine wherein the Mustache Man escapes to the year 3000, a flying saucer in which the Mustache Man escaped to the moon, a teleportation machine, a perpetual motion machine generating endless energy, or a machine that could melt bones. Oh, and it also emitted a bright light, made people who came close to it sick, and made plants that were close to it grow faster. Now this wonder weapon worked by having 2 high-speed rotating cylinders filled with mercury, or filled with a purple metallic-looking liquid, which was supposedly highly radioactive and had the code name Serum 525. And if you are wondering what Serum 525 is, well, Serum 525 was closely related to bullshitium. The Bell was made with alien technology. And because the Bell was such a highly secretive weapon, the scientists and technicians that were working on this device and who did not die of its effect were wiped out by the SS in the closing days of the war. The device was then moved to an unknown location, but we do kind of know where this unknown location is. You see, the Bell was moved with a train full of gold, somewhere in Poland. An SS officer later traded this information and the technology with the United States in exchange for his freedom. So that's how we know all of this. Okay, so that was a lot of nonsense to take in. And I don't blame you if your brain decided to shut off and start playing images of Subway Surfer to cope with the stupid shit that I was telling you. So here comes a serious question. Who is to blame for this nonsense? Well, we have a few people to blame for this. The first one that we can be disappointed at is Nick Cook. Cook is a journalist with expertise in aerospace. He wrote a book called The Hunt for Zero Point. In this book he talks about how the United States in secret has anti-gravitational technology. Now Cook used a Polish book as a reference. Now excuse my Polish, but I think it's pronounced Prawdo-Wunderwaffen.
Prawda o Wunderwaffe.
Which would translate to something like The Truth About Wonder Weapons. Written by Igor Rogowski. Now Igor is just a straight up conspiracy theorist. Again, my Polish is not that good, but just looking at these covers, you know what you're getting into. He's also a lying piece of shit. He claimed in his book that he found evidence of the bell while researching World War II era Polish government documents that had recently been declassified. This led him to further investigate and research into the subject. But little Igor is lying right here. He used instead a French book of the 1960s as a source of his fantasy story about the bell. This book was called The Morning of the Magicians, and as the authors disclaimed in the introduction of this book, the book is intended to challenge the reader's viewpoint on historical events, whether they believe the explanations or not. But the goal is to give the reader the opportunity to test their level of cognitive dissonance and critical thinking skills. And yeah, this is the book that first mentions the bell, but more as an object of science fiction and not as a historical event. So why are people talking about the bell like it's a real thing? So let me just get this straight, that we're all on the same line here. We have a journalist that uses a book of a conspiracy theorist as a source. This conspiracy theorist also uses a book as a source, which is basically a fantasy book. And because of these two idiots, we now have documentaries about this thing.
Unsealed case file. Dick Glacker.
Oh, that's real nice.
We have a ton of YouTube videos about this thing. We have articles written in magazines on internet about this stupid thing that the normies will read and will think that it's based on history and not just some fantasy. And don't try to hide it, History Channel. Just because you deleted the videos doesn't mean that it never happened. I remember those videos. Now, to be completely honest, Nick Cook and Little Igor are not completely to blame. These two clowns didn't come up with all the nonsense that you hear about the bell. In their books they do say that it could be a time machine, an anti-gravitational machine or a flying saucer, and they also came up with the nonsense of the Serum 525. All the other add-ons, the little nonsense and bullshit, yeah, that's just other conspiracy theorists building onto this bullshit. And it's just really easy to just prove that this thing never existed. I mean, if the Americans really did get all of that information from that SS officer, then why don't we have flying saucers right now? If it was a time traveling machine, why did nobody show up to Stephen Hawking's time traveling party? And for anyone that is unaware to this, Stephen Hawking in 2009 organized a party for time travelers, but he only gave the invitations after the party happened. So yeah, the bell is probably also not a time traveling machine. The same with the Serum 525. We know almost everything about the Second World War at this moment. Why is there no mention of anything on the internet about this serum? Well, because it's fake! It never happened! If something like this was real, we would have seen at this moment in Ukraine bell-sized drones, or the US having bell-shaped bombers. And I could continue on, like for example, the structure that it's supposedly tested on turned out to just be an industrial water cooling tower. But let me just get back to the point that I wanted to make for this video. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of the people who are subscribed to this channel and who watch my videos already knew before even clicking on this video that this story was nonsense. And even for the people that clicked on this video out of curiosity, I'm pretty sure that most of you knew that this story was fake in the back of your head. But there are still a lot of people that think that this is a real historical event. And to be honest, I don't even blame you. I don't think that you're stupid if you believed in this, because you just fall for a lie. And to be honest, I also fall for the lie. And why wouldn't I? The History Channel had documentaries about this thing. There were magazines that had articles about this thing. There's big YouTubers that are making videos about this thing. It would lead you to believe that there's at least some form of truth in there. And I think that that is the thing that I hate the most about the bell. The last 10 years we slowly moved away from the weirbull World War II fantasy that Germany just was the best in everything. The best generals, the best tactics, the best tanks, the best technology. We slowly moved away from that. But having the myth floating around of this German piece of technology that we don't understand till this very day plays perfectly into the superiority that these werebulls want you to believe. And again, don't take me wrong, The Germans made some impressive stuff like the V2, night vision equipment, and some of the tanks. But for example, the Americans made the atomic bomb and the B-29, weapons that seem more at home in the 1960s than in the 1940s, and we don't say that those weapons were created using alien technology. Meanwhile, people look at the Horten 229 and think aliens. Even though we have this plane, the Aerodactyl, which existed in the 1920s in Britain. Like, what do you think? Do you think that the British all of a sudden decided to share their alien technology with Germany? And the Bell is just that. Technology that we don't understand because the Germans during World War II were just so good. No, it clearly isn't. It's just a conspiracy theory that I really wish would just die. Thank you for watching till the end. This time was a little bit more of an opinionated video. I hope you liked it. If you want to see something a little bit more historical accurate, then go check out this video of the T-28. It's the only super heavy tank built by the Americans. And if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe. See you next time. Bye.